Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Ask Ron. I'm Ron, and today I want to talk about two words that we throw around a lot in this industry of ours, this sport. Words are fanboy and hater. And this came up recently because I was referred to in a video by a pro bodybuilder who happens to be a friend of mine as a fanboy because I had said some nice things about this young kid, Derek Lunsford. Derek is going into his second Olympia. He was fifth place last year in his debut, which was pretty damn great. And I think the kid's going to be a future Mr. Olympia. I never said he's going to be Mr. Olympia this year, and I never make predictions ever on how someone's going to place exactly, because you never know. You never know. And especially with the Olympia, you got guys like Phil Heath dominating the Open, Flex Lewis dominating the 212. This is supposed to be his last year. He's stated he's retiring after this from 212. So, yeah, I would never say Derek's going to be Mr. Olympia this year. That's ridiculous because who knows what's going to happen. I wish him the best. I wish all these guys the best. So this topic really came up because I did an interview a little while ago, fairly recently, with Phil Heath, which I was very, very honored and fortunate to get that interview. And Phil talked about something that's really unique about our sport, is that we're ashamed, it seems, most of us, to be fans of the sport. He said, you have to qualify every statement. You can't just say you can't say you're a fan of like Phil Heath or Rami or whatever. You have to start off every statement with, I'm not a fan of Phil Heath or I'm not a fan of Rami, but I think he's pretty good. You can't say you're a fan because, he said, and I agree with this, we're concerned that it diminishes our masculinity because we can't possibly be a fan of a big muscle guy in little posing trunks all oiled up, right? There's something, here I go, there's something gay about that. And, bodybuilding's had issues from going back to the 1930s and 40s and when it was just starting out, competitive bodybuilding, that it was perceived as a sport for gay men. The fans were, there always had been a substantial amount of male gay men who were fans of the sport and supported it. And, what's wrong with that? Who says you're going to turn away people that buy tickets and buy the posters and the pictures and the DVDs and all that? Come on. You can't afford to turn fans away. So because of that, bodybuilders have always been kind of a little worried about that, how they're being perceived. So it's the only sport where you can't really just flat out say I'm a fan of this guy, because it's now people are going to make fun of you or say you're a gay, you're a fanboy or whatever. There's something bad about being a fan. He pointed out you don't have to do that in other sports. You can say I'm a fan of LeBron James or Kevin Durant or Tom Brady or anybody in these other sports. And guys walk around with their jerseys on, these $200 replica jerseys. They wear them with pride. That's my favorite player. Yeah, I'm a fan of him. I cheer for him when I watch the games on TV or when I go to the games. I'm Brady. People love these guys. And what's wrong with that? They're supporting someone who they admire the guy's athleticism. They respect what he does and his amazing abilities and what he can do on the court or on the field or whatever. But we can't be like that. Why? Why can't we be fans? There's nothing wrong with being a fan. It just means you're supporting someone who you think they're a pretty damn great bodybuilder. And I hate that word fanboy because it pretty much means anybody that's a fan. So you can't be a fan without being a fanboy. And especially if I'm a Phil fan, then the Rami fans call me a Phil fanboy. Anybody who's a fan of someone other than who you think is the best, they're labeled a fanboy. And hater has come to mean anybody these days, and this goes beyond bodybuilding. This is society in general now. Hater is anybody with any type of criticism. You can't be critical at all of anybody ever anymore, or else you're a hater, even if you're just making an observation. So I'm technically a hater because my job is to critique. I have to look for flaws. I have to look for strengths and weaknesses. That's a huge part of what I do as a reporter, as a journalist, covering the contest, talking about the athletes, doing previews. I have to talk about that. And again, in other sports, You know, if some basketball player is terrible at free throws, if you say that, you're just stating a fact. You're not a hater because, you know, like what's his name? Shaq was horrible at free throws. If you said that, you were just stating a fact. The statistics bore that out, that he was bad at them. You know, it doesn't mean you're a hater. In bodybuilding, if I say so-and-so's Rami's lacking muscle detail and maturity, that's not me being a hater. That's just me making a valid observation based on the fact that I have a pretty good eye. I've been to a few hundred contests since I started going. Geez, the first contest I ever attended was a Muscle Beach show in 1987. And I've probably been to, I don't know, 200 or 300 contests since then, amateur and professional. And I've looked at a lot of physiques. I've done a lot of play-by-plays. I've done a lot of contest coverage and reports. So I've had to I've had to learn to have a very critical eye. You know, I've judged. Judges have extremely critical eyes because they're taking these guys who all look phenomenal, and they can't all be the winner. Only one guy can be the winner. So especially when you get to the level of the Mr. Olympia, top 5 or 6 guys, each one by themselves looks like, if you saw them, especially, you know, you're looking at their social media, looking pictures leading up, the last couple of weeks leading up to the Olympia, you'd be like, oh my God, this guy's Mr. Olympia. He's got the show wrapped up. Nobody could possibly look better than this. This guy's perfect. Then you put them all on stage and, well, now somebody's got to be the winner. Somebody's got to be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. It's up to the judges to pick them apart, to be extremely critical and decide who's got the best overall package, the overall package of attributes, size, shape, symmetry, proportion, balance, conditioning, even presentation factors in. And that's how they determine the winner. So the judges, are they haters? Are they fanboys of the guy who wins? And I notice bodybuilders get very sensitive if you give praise to other bodybuilders, because, you know, each one of them is out to win. It's not a team sport. It's a solo venture. Only one man wins every contest. So if I'm supporting one athlete, I guess I must not be supporting the other guy, right? So they get very upset. And if I'm saying nice things about so-and-so, I'm a so-and-so fanboy. If I say anything critical about them, I'm a hater. But I'm not, you know. If you want to call it fan thing, I'm a fan of all these top guys because they've all reached an elite level. Out of all the bodybuilders who started out training and competing, these are the ones that rose to the top. You know, there's a lot. I've seen so many guys with great genetics who never really made it that far. I've seen a lot of guys. I've seen 100 times more guys who have taken vast amounts of drugs, every drug in the world, and they never reached that level. So these are the guys who went past all those other people. They went from local, regional, national, pro, and then even to the top of the pro. They're the elite pros at the Olympia and the Arnold. The guys who are in the top 5 of those shows, they're the very elite. They're the best of the best. So yes, I'm a fan. I respect and admire their accomplishments. I'm a fan of all these guys. So I can be biased at times. There's no doubt. If I'm a friend of someone, if I like them a lot, I've been known to be biased, and I'll say more nice things about them and be less critical of them. But at the same time, I've also, in my contest coverage, that's when I have to leave it all behind and be objective. And that's when I say, so-and-so is my friend, but he lacks muscle separation. Or so, you know, I might like this guy a lot, but I have to say his hamstrings are weak, his calves are weak, or his chest could be better, or his legs overpower his upper body, his upper body overpowers his lower body. I have to make the observations and be critical, because that's what I'm paid to do, is to analyze these physiques and break them down. And, you know, guys like me and Sean Ray, we're called haters all the time, but we're doing our job. And a lot of the times, the people I'm criticizing, it's for their own benefit because it's constructive criticism. Perfect example, Sergio Oliva Jr. I think Sergio is going to be awesome. Right now, I still think he needs more back thickness and more chest, and I've told him this. He knows this. I'm not being a hater, and I'm not being a fanboy when I'm saying nice things about him. I'm just being real, because no physique is perfect. Nobody has ever had a perfect physique. Perfect physique would be created by a CGI artist or a painter or something. It wouldn't be a real person, because nobody has the perfect structure, perfect shape, perfect balance and proportion of every single body part to every other body part. Same amount of detail and separation in every single muscle group. You know, there's never been anybody like that. Even the very best people, you know, Ronnie, you could find flaws with. Phil Heath, you can find flaws with. Flex Wheeler, you can even find little flaws with. Everybody, little bitty flaws, because these are human beings. They're real people, flesh and blood, genetically gifted, absolutely, absolutely. But nobody's got everything lined up, all those qualities lined up exactly the way an artist or somebody creating it in their mind would do it. So, yeah. So I don't want people to be ashamed to be fans of the sport. This is not a big sport. It's a cult sport. It does not have a huge mainstream following. We don't have the type of following that these other sports have. Major League Baseball, football, basketball, they all have millions and millions of people watching because those sports are easier to appreciate and admire. There's a packed bar full of guys and men and women can watch a football game or a basketball game and be entertained and appreciate what they're seeing and understand what they're seeing. You can't throw the Mr. Olympia contest and expect a bar full of 300 people to enjoy what they're seeing, to understand what they're seeing, to appreciate it. Most of the time they'll probably yell out to the bartender, somebody change a channel. I don't want to watch this. It's more of a pageant than a sport. There's nothing really happening. It's not like, there's no goal line, there's no baskets, there's no athletic events being witnessed. There's no great plays to be seen. It's guys flexing. And, like I said, you don't have to be ashamed to be a follower, a fan of bodybuilding. Most of the fans of bodybuilding are bodybuilders to one extent or another. They live the lifestyle, at least in part. Most of the fans, people who follow it online, the people who go, especially the people that'll pay the money to go watch these shows in person, they tend to be people that train every day, they eat multiple healthy meals every day, and they either compete or aspire to compete, or they want to look like they could compete. One of those. So it's a small amount of people because it takes a lot of dedication to live that lifestyle. It's a very different lifestyle than the average person. So, we're a small enough sport as it is. We don't have to limit our already small fan base by scaring people away, by making people ashamed to be a fan. It's crazy to me how on the message boards, and there's so many people on there who really seem to hate the sport and you can tell it comes from shame. They follow it, but they're ashamed of it. So they have to throw out comments like, there's another oiled up guy in a thong, or, oh, you must love this guy, or these stupid comments that just point out that they don't feel comfortable just saying this guy looks great, or it's fun to watch the Mr. Olympia. I get motivated seeing those physiques. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be ashamed, and it doesn't make you a fanboy just to be a fan. What's a fanboy? Fanboy, I hate the way it sounds. You're a fanboy. It's demeaning, and there's no reason to use that word. So please, those of you who throw that word around carelessly all the time, think about it, and please think about not using it as much, if at all, please. And hater, society in general, this word has become just so universally expressed. It's really upsetting because you can't, like I said, you can't be critical of anybody anymore in any way without being called a hater. You can't just be real with people anymore because you're a hater. If someone's 4'10" and they say, I want to play in the NBA, and you say, I don't know, dude, those guys are all, the shorter guys in the NBA are like 6'2", so I don't know. Now the guy's going to say, you're a hater. You're a hater. No, you're just making an observation based on facts. You're not a hater. There are such things as haters. Like, there's people that hate Phil Heath, and they'll say he sucks. He doesn't suck. The guy hasn't won 7 Olympiads because he sucks, okay? He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. His gut was a little blown out last year. He did have a double hernia. Now you're going to call me a fanboy because I'm saying nice things about Phil Heath. Or if I say anything critical about anybody else, I'm going to be a hater. No, stop using these words, people. Please, please. Okay, so fanboys, haters. I'm neither. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm not a hater. I keep it real. I make observations based on an experienced eye. And I try to always say nice things too, because like I said, these guys are all great. They would not be where they are if they didn't have a lot going for them. They are the elite, but I can't say they're all equally good. I'm not a cheerleader. Flex Lewis sent me a gif of a cheerleader because apparently he thinks I'm a cheerleader. Come on, Flex, I'm not a cheerleader. I support all these guys. I love the sport. I've been a part of it my entire adult life. I've been training for 35 years now. I've been going to contests since '87. I competed for 24 years. Okay, this is who I am. This is my lifestyle that I choose, bodybuilding. So yeah, I'm a fan of it and I support it, and not many other people do in the grand scheme of things. So I encourage people to be, if you're a fan of it, be proud of it, support the athletes, and you don't have to be ashamed. I am going to take one question this week. This came to me from Facebook Messenger from Christopher Jason Whitley. He says, I want to know your thoughts on bodybuilders today and their extreme eating, chasing 10,000 calories and eating tons of shit food. I would also like to hear what Lee Haney, Leveroni, and other old school bodybuilders think. Thanks. Love your work. You represent all the great things about bodybuilding. Keep educating these fools about common sense and the right way to live our lifestyle. Obviously, I didn't need to read that last part, but it was a little pat on my back, so I read it. This is Ask Ron, so unfortunately you're not going to get Lee Haney or Kevin Leveroni's take on that question. I'm sorry. Just ask Ron, and Ron answers. So I don't like seeing people stuff themselves. I overate myself for many years, and I got a gut. Not from GH, never used GH. Insulin, I had an experiment over one winter, I think it was like 3 winters ago. Got an even bigger gut. My gut that I have, which is, it's a gut, and it's from overeating for many, many years. Plus, I'm sure the gear had something to do with it. But I would literally stuff myself 5 or 6 times a day with as much clean food as I could. I can vividly remember being in my 20s and eating like 2 cans of tuna and a baked potato like the size of like an infant. Okay, I'm exaggerating. But I would stuff myself and eat way more than I needed to because I wanted to get big. I wanted to grow. And I was natural that whole time. So you can imagine how fat I got, pretty fat. Even when I started using gear and I was overeating, I would get fat eating that much. You know, most bodybuilders, I think, we have a tendency to overdo things and be extreme and think more is better. And there's a point where you're taking in way too much food and it's not contributing toward gains. It's just going to make you fat. And yeah, these huge caloric totals. So the shit food thing really bothers me. It started off, I think, because people make these connections that aren't valid connections. I remember years ago, it all started, Dave Palumbo used to diet for shows and eat McDonald's every day because he had a crazy metabolism. He claimed it got that way from being a distance runner in college, and he was a bone rack. He was like Ichabod Crane, okay? So he was convinced that he destroyed all his fat cells somehow, and he was never able to gain fat, no matter what. And he never did get fat. I saw that guy walking around at like 280, 290, maybe 300 for years. Not an ounce of fat on him. Just ripped, shredded, pretty much contest ready all the time. And that's a very, very unique genetic specimen. That, regardless of whatever drugs he was using, that's a rarity. That's a very, very rare person. Then you had Juan Morel come along a few years after that with his Sunday cheat days, where from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed, he would pack in as much crap food as possible. Fast food, cookies, cake, ice cream, just as much shit, garbage food, just to get the calories up there, because he's another one who had some crazy high metabolism. And a lot of people, they like that because they said, oh, wow, I can eat as much shit as I want and I'll look like, no, you're not going to look like that. You're just going to get fat. Again, he's a very rare individual. So forget about the calorie totals. I want to talk about the shit food because that really bothers me. On Instagram, the one thing I hate to see the most is these disgusting cheat meals that people are so proud to post. They'll post up pictures of like these giant burgers the size of a human head, like 3 or 4 patties dripping with cheese and mayonnaise and bacon and French fries in there and all kinds of shit, just grease and fat and slobbery shit. Ugh, it's disgusting. And they're boasting about it, like, oh, this is about to go down. Hey, cheat meal. Coach says it's okay. A lot of this is because DNP has become all the rage now. DNP, it allows a lot of people to eat like regular people, like average slobs with no discipline, lazy fucks, and still get leaner and leaner because they're just they're dosing all this DNP. DNP is very dangerous. I wouldn't touch it personally. I don't think anybody needs it. I think it's a lazy drug for people that don't have the discipline. They can't stay on a real clean diet, and they just want to keep eating the shit that they want to keep eating because they're lazy and Yeah. So I hate that. I hate to see that. It really bothers me because as hypocritical as this sounds, because drugs are so prevalent in the sport, and it's not a healthy sport for the most part. Let's be real. In the non-tested shows, but you're going to take it a step further now. It's bad enough that drugs are part of it. Now you're going to throw in food that can contribute toward heart disease and diabetes if you eat it all the time, which these people do. I see people that post this shit like 3, 4, 5 times a week, and they're so happy that you could tell they just love eating shit. They love it. Okay, these people should not be in the sport, and you see more and more of them now that social media has attracted a whole new wave of competitors or would-be competitors, people that just want the attention. They want to look good and get the validation from people saying how great they look and in the comments and giving them likes and followers. Yeah, and I know I sound like a hypocrite because I'm on Instagram and everything, but still, I eat clean for the most part. I'll have junk every once in a while. If I was dieting, I wouldn't eat any junk. Cheat meals didn't exist back in the day because you were dieting, you were getting shredded. People say, well, you need a cheat meal. These are people like Lev Roney and Sean Ray, Lee Haney. They didn't need cheat meals. They look pretty fucking great. Why do you need a cheat meal? You don't need a cheat meal. You're having cheat meals because you want to eat shit. You lack the discipline. You're not really, truly, in my mind, a bodybuilder. I'm sorry. You can shit on me all you want for saying that, but that's how I feel. I'm a cranky old man. I know I'm almost 49 years old. But this whole thing with posting up these disgusting cheat meals and being proud of it. It's one thing to eat that stuff, but then you're going to take pictures of it and throw it up there and be, haha, look what I'm eating. Look what I get to eat. Haha. What the fuck? What's wrong with you? Why are you so happy that you're eating garbage? Anyway, that's just my little rant for today. I did get to one question. Please keep the questions coming in because I don't want these to always just be my little rants. So keep the questions coming. You can post them on the musculardevelopment.com, No Bull Forum, usually with these videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to the MD channel. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks. Talk to you later.